It was a rainy October evening when Emily first saw him, standing alone under the flickering street lamp at the corner of Maple Street. If this story touched your heart, don't let it end here. Subscribe for more real stories that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. The rain dripped down his coat, and he looked lost, almost fragile. Yet there was a quiet strength in the way he held himself. Emily, who had spent the day wandering aimlessly after losing herself in grief over a life she had almost given up on, felt an inexplicable pull toward him. Something about the way his eyes, dark and searching, met hers made her heartbeat stumble. She didn't know his name, and he didn't know hers, but in that moment, the world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. "Are you okay?" she asked, her voice soft, barely audible over the rain. He looked at her and smiled, a small, sad smile that tugged at her heart. "I will be," he said. "Eventually." And that was the beginning of everything. Their first conversation stretched for hours under the dim light of the street lamp, rain falling around them like a curtain that shut the rest of the world away. They spoke of ordinary things at first, of coffee shops and books, but slowly layers began to peel back. He told her about the loss he had carried for years, a wound so deep it had shaped him in ways he didn't always understand. She shared her own scars, the ones she had tried to hide from the world. There was an unspoken understanding between them, a recognition that they were both survivors of battles that no one else could see. As weeks turned into months, Emily and Daniel became inseparable. Mornings were spent walking through the fallen leaves of the town park, afternoons in crowded coffee shops where the noise of the world faded behind their laughter, and nights under the soft glow of streetlights, talking about the lives they dreamed of building together. Daniel was gentle, patient, and somehow made Emily believe that love could be as simple as holding hands and sharing secrets, as complex as healing together from the invisible wounds of the past. Emily, in return, became his anchor, the one person who made him believe that he could face the demons that had haunted him for so long. For a time, it was perfect, the kind of love that novels were written about, the kind that makes a person feel invincible, yet vulnerable in the best way. They made promises in whispers and laughter, promises of forever and never letting go. But life, as it often does, had other plans. It started subtly. Daniel would come home late, distracted, phone always clutched in his hand as if it carried messages he wasn't ready to share. Emily, trusting and patient, told herself it was stress, work, nothing more. But the distance grew, small at first, then unbearable, and one evening she found a message on his phone. "I can't do this anymore. Meet me at the bridge." Her chest tightened as she read it. The bridge, an old rusted structure by the river, where they had shared their first kiss, where the world had once felt infinite and safe, was now the scene of her greatest fear. She ran, heart hammering, rain soaking through her coat, her tears blending with the storm. When she reached the bridge, he was there, shoulders slumped, eyes hollow. He didn't speak at first, only stared at the river flowing beneath them, turbulent and unforgiving, mirroring the chaos in her heart. "Emily," he whispered, finally turning toward her, voice breaking. "I never wanted to hurt you. I thought I was protecting you. But I can't fix this on my own." Her hands trembled as she reached for him. "Whatever it is, we can face it together," she pleaded, but he shook his head. "Some things can't be fixed. Some wounds are too deep." And with that, he walked away, leaving her alone, soaked, trembling, a heart in pieces she didn't know how to mend. The weeks that followed were unbearable. Emily stopped writing, stopped smiling, stopped pretending that the world was anything but gray. Friends called, knocked on her door, but she offered nothing, not even a word. Nights were the worst, the silence pressing in, memories of Daniel's laugh and the warmth of his hands haunting her. She replayed every moment, every whispered promise, over and over, searching for a reason, searching for the place where everything went wrong. Then came the call that shattered what little equilibrium she had left. A detective's voice on the phone, calm and formal, delivered the words that made her knees buckle. Daniel had been in an accident. He was alive, but barely, and he had asked for her. The world blurred as she raced to the hospital, rain and tears merging into one. She found him in a small, sterile room, hooked to machines that beeped rhythmically, a sound that tore at her chest. His eyes opened weakly, just enough to find hers, and a faint smile ghosted across his lips. "Emily, I didn't mean to leave you," he whispered, voice so frail it made her heart ache anew. She held his hand, refusing to let go, silently willing him to wake, to fight, to come back to her fully. As he recovered, the truth spilled out like a torrent. He had been in debt to people who would stop at nothing to take everything he loved, including her. He had left not because he wanted to, but because he thought he was shielding her from a danger she would never have survived. Emily listened, tears streaming, fury and relief twisting in her chest. "You left me to suffer alone," she said, voice trembling. "You walked away without a word." "I was a coward," he admitted, shame and pain etched across his face. "I thought I was saving you. Instead, I almost destroyed myself." They clung to each other, fragile but determined, hearts knitting slowly, painfully, together. But life, relentless in its cruelty, wasn't done testing them. A fire consumed the building where Daniel had been staying, a blaze that claimed memories and lives, leaving him with burns that would mark him forever. Emily refused to leave his side, holding him through the pain, whispering promises of survival, of endurance, of love that refused to break. Months passed, and slowly, life regained some semblance of normalcy. Daniel's injuries healed enough for him to walk, to laugh, to live, but the shadows lingered. Emily, inspired by their shared suffering, returned to her writing. Words poured out like blood from a wound, raw and real, a story of love battered but unbroken, of hearts that survived storms meant to tear them apart. Her book was published, touching lives she had never imagined, giving hope to those who had suffered in silence. Years later, sitting together on the porch of a small house they had rebuilt with their own hands, Daniel took Emily's hand. His fingers were scarred, his body a reminder of everything they had endured, but his eyes were steady, filled with the same love that had drawn her to him years ago. "Thank you," he whispered, voice soft but unwavering, "for never giving up on me, even when I gave up on myself." Emily rested her head on his shoulder, tears glistening in the fading light of the sunset. "I'll never give up on us," she said. "We survived everything. We'll survive everything again." And in that quiet moment, they understood the truth of what they had lived, that even the strongest heart can break, shatter into fragments that feel impossible to mend. But with love, with patience, and with someone willing to stay through the pain, it can also heal. It can rebuild itself, stronger than before. Their love was imperfect, scarred, and tested beyond measure, but it endured, a testament to the resilience of the human heart, a story that would linger long after the world had forgotten their names. Life had broken them, tried to tear them apart, but they had found each other again, proving that some love, the truest kind, can survive even the darkest storms, unyielding, unbroken, and eternal. Some stories end, but their lessons live forever. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.